What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video over here. My name is Franco Torres. I'm a guitar player based in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And today we're talking about this massive guitar head in a small format. This is the 6505 mini head, MH for mini head, by the guys over at Peavey, and it's about 9 years old, but quite frankly, I don't think it gets the credit or the light that it deserves. It's, I mean, a massive sound, in a tiny, cute little format. Let's talk a little bit about the specs, hear it out a little bit more, and yeah, just kind of like write it out. So it's a pretty simple head, but there's a lot of features built into it, which I find is really cool. In the front panel, we've got quite a couple of controllers over here, and you're gonna notice that we start obviously with our two different channels, which are rhythm and lead. We have a couple of switches up in the front panel, which essentially change between either bright mode or normal mode, and then you've got a crunch setting in there as well. You can change obviously between the two channels, and you've got two different volumes for each of your channels. So you've got the pre-gain and the post-gain. Between all that, we've got the EQ section, which essentially it's a 3-band EQ, low, mids, and highs. And then in terms of everything else that we've got a reverb built into it, which actually sounds really nice. And we've got resonance and presence for the power amp. If I didn't mention it yet, it's got two EL84 power tubes and three 12AX7 tubes over here, easily accessible from the back. And let's talk about the stuff in the back, because quite frankly, this is where the coolest stuff is, in my opinion. We've got a couple of switches over here in the back. You can change between 1 watt, 5 watts, or 20 watts, which is pretty standard nowadays with tube amplifiers. You can change between 16 or 8 ohms depending on the cab that you're using or the configuration that you're running. And my favorite feature over here by far is this little XLR output, which is a DI with some speaker emulation built in right into the head, so you don't have to necessarily have something like a 2-notes torpedo to be able to use this, and you don't have to have it plugged into a cab to be able to use this head. So if you're getting into tube amps and you don't necessarily want to get into the whole situation of actually having to buy a cab, microphones to mic it, you can actually use it without all of that, just plugging in an XLR cable into it. We've got a switch so you can enable or disable the cab simulation on it. So like if you've got some external IRs that you want to use, you can absolutely do that. Again, if you're using some in the computer. We've got a ground lift on or off, effects, send and return. And then we've got a couple of inputs over here for buttons to be able to switch some stuff in the amp. Beautiful, classic look. You've got the metal grill over here, 6505 beneath it, and the Peavey logo over here. This is pretty much a classic reborn. Now, without further ado, let's listen to it a little bit more and talk a little bit more about it. Okay, so after spending some time with it, I think it's a really versatile amplifier. You can get some really nice spanky cleans on it. For the most part in the video, I was using just guitar straight into the amplifier. For some parts on that intro video, I was, however, using an SD1 overdrive and a noise gate, just to, be able to get a little bit more humph out of the leads. But other than that, and everything else that you heard, it's just guitar straight into the amplifier. I did roll off the volume a little bit at some, different points in the video, so you can kind of hear how it cleans up. One thing that I really liked about the amplifier is that you can really push the amplifier and have as much distortion as you want, and if you roll back the volume just a little bit, you can actually see how that gain is gonna start to roll back. And if you roll the volume enough, you can get some really nice cleans out of it without having to necessarily change between the channels. But again, the rhythm channel, if you've got cleans set up on that channel, it can definitely do that very well, which, quite frankly, I was not expecting it to sound as good as it does in clean settings. It takes pedals very well as well. You've got the effects loop on the back, so if you're running different kinds of reverbs and delays and modulations, you can run them off of that. So there's a lot of versatility in that little head, especially at the price point, $699 for that. And you've got the DI simulated output. That to me is really cool. And the DI simulated output actually sounds pretty good, which I was, again, not expecting it to sound that good, especially without, some external IRs, because I know that, some of the more modern amplifiers actually have the 2-note stuff built into it, which I am a huge fan of. This is actually Peavey's own technology, and quite frankly, it's very usable. I'd love to read what you guys think about the amplifier, so please do, comment what you think down below in the comment section. If you like this kind of video, please do consider subscribing, and hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next video.